In this video, we're going to look at operations and the relationship it has to increasing productivity, which then increases competitiveness. We're going to look at the relationship between these three. Now, essentially, the more efficient an operations system is, that means that productivity is increased. That's what efficiency is, pretty much. And by increasing productivity, that can allow an organisation to be more competitive. And we'll look at that more in depth to explain exactly, well, how does it, by increasing productivity, how does that really give an organisation a competitive advantage? So let's look at productivity first. So we know what operations is. We've gone through that in previous videos. Productivity, overall measure of an organisation's ability to transform inputs into outputs. And again, looking at inputs and outputs, that's looking at our operations system. So it's normally expressed as a ratio, and we should know by now from outcome 1, I believe, in some of the earlier videos, that productivity, the rate of productivity increases an actual performance indicator that we can use, and it's a good one to use to see the success of the operations. So it's normally used as a ratio, and we look at outputs compared to the amount of inputs. So there's just an example of a transport company. They can look at the amount of deliveries made and the number of trucks or the number of hours and just see how productive they are. So it's a measure of efficiency. Now, it's great to be efficient, but at the same time, you need to be effective. So you still need to be achieving your goals and objectives that the operations that have been set by the operations manager. However, you want to achieve them as efficiently as possible, using the least amount of inputs as you need to be, without compromising on other things like quality. So let's use an example. So improving productivity. Here we've got an example of making pies. I'm not sure why I continue to make examples out of food, but here we go. So let's say there's 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of water, 1 cup of meat, and 1 sheet of pastry, or one sheet of pastry, and that produces 2 meat pies. Now, I'm guessing that's probably going to be a pretty ordinary meat pie, but I'm not very good at making pies, so let's just use that as the example. So let's say that's our base. That's what we've done. Now, to improve productivity, let's say we use the same amount of inputs, so the flour, the pastry, the meat, and the water, but we actually produce 5 pies. Now, that would be a way of increasing productivity. Now, how is that done? Now, maybe making pies, that's a little bit unrealistic by increasing it to 5. But let's say we do increase it to 5. It could be we've improved our processes. We've implemented some new technology. We've actually purchased better quality flour, better quality meat, so there's less wastage. So whatever we do, the processes that we use, they can actually enable us, as well as using quality inputs, they can enable us to be more productive. Okay, so that's one way to increase productivity. Another way is to produce the same amount. We've got 2 pies. However, instead of 2 bags of flour, we're only using 1. Instead of 2 cups of water, we're using 1. So we're actually using less inputs but producing the same amount. That's another way of increasing productivity. So remember, productivity is looking at the inputs compared to the outputs. And so they're 2 great ways. And if you could do both, if you could use less and still produce more, then that would be an amazing result. So let's look at competitiveness. By increasing productivity, that means that an organisation is able to produce a certain number of items for a reduced cost. So let's go back to our example here. By producing the same amount, in this example, we are using less inputs, which is going to cost the organisation less. In this example, now we're still spending the same amount on inputs here, however, we're producing more. So per item, so per pie, it's costing us much less per pie. Therefore, due to economies of scale, we are producing our outputs for less money. So we're reducing the cost per item. If an organisation can offer a product at a lower rate, then they are able to gain a competitive advantage. Now let's look at what does that mean. Well, if they're reducing the cost, that means they may be able to sell their particular product at a lower price. Now that gives them a competitive advantage on price. It may be that by saving that cost, they can then either improve their processes or purchase better quality inputs and improve their quality. Therefore, they can compete on quality. They've got a competitive advantage of higher quality. It may be that they're producing the same amount, but they can actually produce it quicker. Therefore, they've got a competitive advantage of speed, and that means that they can get their products to market quicker than their competitors, as well as flexibility. It enables them to be more flexible, to produce more products. It could be that they can compete on innovation, that they can use the money that they're saving on their production and they can spend it on research and development and come up with new innovations. So there's lots of different ways that an organisation can compete. So by improving the effectiveness or the efficiency of operations increases productivity. That increase in productivity can give an organisation a competitive advantage, and those competitive advantages are often price, quality, speed, flexibility, and even innovation. So that's really important. So optimizing operations to improve productivity, the operations manager, this is their role, must try and use the inputs as efficiently as possible. The changes that are made should improve productivity. So I've got an example there. A bank using less tellers to serve the same amount of customers. That's a way of improving productivity. A restaurant able to serve more customers per night. That's improving productivity. So all those different things have an impact. Now there's 4 different areas in which managers can use to try and improve productivity, and we'll go through each one of these in a separate video. But these are the 4 that we're going to go through. An operations manager can look at the facilities design layout. So how are their facilities actually set up? That can improve productivity. They can look at their materials management, and we'll go through some different strategies that they can use in materials management to improve productivity. And again, technology, implementing technology into the operation system. So by improving actual processes, that can improve productivity. And we look at quality management, different ways of improving quality so that there's less wastage, less returns from customers. So that helps us improve and optimize our operations. So they're the 4 areas that we're going to go through, and that is the link between operations or optimizing operations, increasing productivity, and allowing an organisation to gain a competitive advantage. Remember, for videos, activities, questions, and a whole lot more, go to teachingbubble.com.